The story follows a man named Jin Tai, who became an assassin after being saved by a mysterious man during the darkest time of his life. While searching for his long-lost sister, he discovers that she's in Hong Kong and deeply entangled with the Triad, the most powerful criminal organization there. Determined to find her, Jin Tai heads to the city, ready to face the Triad's ruthless enforcers in the shadows of Hong Kong. The story begins in a forest in Kazakhstan, where birds soar overhead and a cloaked figure walks through the trees. Jin Tai checks a map and approaches a local, who points him toward a nearby house. Inside, a white-haired girl sits by the window, reading her notebook. Jin Tai knocks and enters. She's stunned to see him. "Sin," he says, "I've finally found you." Their eyes meet. This is the tale of an assassin willing to face any danger to reunite with his only sister. His life has been filled with loss. His parents, his freedom, and now possibly his sister. Flashback to years earlier. Jin Tai and his sister are shackled and being transported with others. They're thrown into a cell, left to survive on their own. One day, a man peers in and is surprised by the girl's white hair. "An albino?" he asks. Jin Tai steps in front of her protectively. The man orders his men, "Take the girl today." "Yes, boss," they reply. Jin Tai watches warily as the man enters the cell to take his sister away. He stood protectively in front of his sister, trying to keep the thug from getting close. "Touch my sister and I'll kill you, you bastard!" he shouted. But the man kicked him hard in the stomach. As he gasped in pain, the thug sneered. "You really don't get it, do you?" He started beating Jin Tai mercilessly while Jin Tai was too weak to fight back. "What's your problem, huh? Trying to act tough? Say that again, punk!" his attacker yelled. The girl ran to her brother, panicked. "Are you okay, big brother?" she cried. Suddenly, one of the men raised his foot, about to strike her. But another voice called out from behind. "Hey, that's enough. Don't hurt the girl," the leader said. He knelt next to Jin Tai and added, "Don't worry, we're taking your sister to a much better place. Got it?" Jin Tai stayed silent, glaring at the man. "Look at this guy's face," the thug muttered before slamming Jin Tai's head. "Answer me, you bastard, or die!" Jin Tai, full of contempt, spat in his face. The man was stunned, dropped him, wiped his face with a cloth and scoffed. "What a stubborn fool. Take the girl. I'll teach this guy a lesson." "Yes, boss," one of the men replied. They grabbed the girl as she screamed and struggled. "No! Don't take me!" They carried her off as she cried out, "Brother! Jinna!" Her voice echoed in the distance while Jin Tai was left behind, beaten to a pulp. Cut to 2 years later. A bucket of water splashes over his head. Jin Tai lies on the floor, exhausted and broken. "All I have left is this pathetic life," he thinks. Outside, a guard mocks. "Is this guy still alive? We've kept him too long. Get rid of him." He lies there, hopeless, resigned to his fate. Suddenly, there's a loud noise and shouting outside. He slowly opens his eyes, confused. Out of nowhere, a huge man crashes into the gate of his cell. Jin Tai is stunned. A figure steps through the chaos and says, "Still alive? Then get up." Standing before him is a man covered in blood, holding out his hand. In that moment, Jin Tai feels like someone has pulled him out of hell. A total stranger, but a savior. The man introduces himself as Shin Kim and says he's a disciple of Master Lang. He traveled all across Heilongjiang to train, and that's how he ended up saving me by chance. Over time, I lived and trained with them every day. Just as I was getting used to this new life, Shin Kim suddenly left without a word. The next time I saw him, he had become an assassin. Meanwhile, in the underground ring, 2 champion fighters were going at it. Nearby, 2 people stood watching. The one in blue turned and asked, "Why did you become an assassin?" "Because it's the only way I could take back what was stolen from me." "You think becoming a killer will help you reclaim your past? That kind of life brings nothing but karma. Someday it'll catch up with you." As the other man turned to walk away, he said, "But what if it's something you have to do, no matter the cost? Then you should become an assassin." Jin Tai made up his mind and met with a man and a woman to strike some kind of deal. Being an assassin wasn't easy, but I kept going so no one could ever take from me again, and so I could reclaim everything that had been stolen. I was ready to walk the bloodiest path. 1 year later, A man and a woman waited for someone. When they saw him approaching, they were stunned. It's only been a year, but he's almost unrecognizable. Gotta admit, Tigro really has an eye for talent. As the figure stepped into the light, the woman smiled and said, "Welcome to Kopoka. Our Jintai has shed his past and become a true cold-blooded assassin." Years passed. A foot dragged along the ground. A terrified man looked up and screamed, "Who the hell are you?" Behind Jintai lay a trail of corpses. He walked up to the man and smirked. "Wow, you forget so easily. Don't recognize me?" The man looked closer, memories flashing. Those eyes. Jintai smiled coldly. "Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? Now tell me, where did you sell my sister?" "Your sister? You mean that albino girl? That was years ago. How the hell should I remember?" Furious, Jintai kicked him hard in the stomach. The man collapsed in pain. Jintai grabbed his head and growled, "Looks like you don't understand the situation yet. If you don't talk, I'll send you straight to hell." The man trembled in fear, unable to speak a word. A slash cut across the man's face. Jintai looked him dead in the eye and said coldly, "Speak properly. Next time it'll be your neck." Terrified, the man stammered out, Hong Kong. You sure it's Hong Kong?" "Yeah. Even if you asked again, I've got nothing more to say." He was desperate to survive, but when he looked down, there it was. A knife stabbed deep in his gut. Jintai had no intention of sparing him. Without a second glance, he turned and walked past the corpses, heading straight for Hong Kong. The scene cuts to Guangzhou, China. A man holding a blood-stained blade stands confidently in a suit, surrounded by his men. One of his subordinates approaches and says, "Master Rukai, the team in Hong Kong has finished preparations." In front of them, a corpse hangs upside down. "Is that so?" Rukai replies, then raises his blade and swiftly slices. The head is cleanly severed. A subordinate hands him a towel. As he wipes his hands, he says, "All right, let's get started. It's time to conquer the continent." The story shifts to the Hong Kong headquarters of the Triad. Inside a dimly lit room, two men sit face to face. "How are the preparations for succession coming along?" asks the older man. He is Liu Wang, the current dragon head of the Triad. The man sitting across from him, wearing glasses, responds calmly. "Everything is going smoothly." He is Liu Yuan, the heir apparent to the Triad's leadership. "All the major syndicate leaders across the continent will be watching. Don't overlook a single detail." "Yes, I understand, Father." Liu Yuan hesitates for a moment, then asks, "But about what we discussed earlier, what do you plan to do about him?" "You mean Rukai? Even if he's an illegitimate child, he must not be absent from this major family event." Frustrated, Liu Yuan slams his hand on the table. "Father!" Wang responds firmly. "If this small thing shakes you, you'll never be able to face the other syndicate leaders. Focus on preparing to take over. I'll handle Rukai." Though angry, Liu Yuan clenches his fists and bows his head. "Yes, Dragonhead." The scene shifts to nighttime Hong Kong. A plane touches down. The moment Jintai arrives to continue his search for his sister. Cut to a high-speed car racing through the streets. On the road, a woman was on the phone with someone. "Kopoka. Yeah, I'm talking about that guy. He's totally out of control now. And this is his personal issue. Why should I get involved?" "He might still be green, but he's exactly the type of person we need. If he handles this well, he could become a major asset to us. You know how bad things are in Hong Kong, and you're still letting this happen? I already warned you. He'll figure it out on his own. This kind of thing isn't going to solve itself. I'm hanging up now. That's all, Marina. Wait, Lyra. Damn it." The car sped off down the street. The scene cuts to a harbor. Our protagonist sat quietly, taking in the beautiful view of Hong Kong. Not a bad place to live, he thought. Suddenly, bright headlights beamed directly into his face, irritating him. A car stopped in front of him, and a figure stepped out, walking toward him. "You're younger than I expected," the woman said confidently. "You must be Kopoka, right?" This woman was Maria Iskra, known as the Venomous Wasp, an elite intelligence agent from East Asia. Her sharp eyes locked onto him. "I've heard everything. You're here looking for your sister, right? You do know I can't help with personal matters, don't you?" He calmly replied, "Yeah, I know." "Good, as long as you understand. Maybe Lyra already told you, but things in Hong Kong are pretty unstable right now." Then she suddenly snapped. "Hey, do you even know what's going on here?" he asked. "Is something wrong in this place?" She sighed and said, "Ugh, seriously, have you heard of the Triad?" She then explained the current situation in Hong Kong. This city is the headquarters of every major syndicate across the continent. The Triad holds absolute power here. Right now, their dragon head is stepping down and handing leadership over to his son. That means we're in a sensitive transition period where every tiny action matters. He responded casually, and that only frustrated her more. "I'm trying to tell you to stay out of things that don't concern you," she snapped. "And don't go causing problems for others either." "I get what you're saying, but where are we anyway?" he asked. "You said you're looking for your sister, right? Let me introduce you to someone. This is Chu Jing, our top intelligence informant in Hong Kong." He turned to her and asked, "Didn't someone just say they wouldn't help? So what's this?" "Don't get the wrong idea," she replied. "This is just so you can find your sister faster and—" "Time to leave Hong Kong. Can we really trust that guy?" someone asked. "I don't know," she replied. "I've done my part. Now it's up to him." "Seriously? You couldn't help just a bit more? How stingy can you be?" "Hey, I've already helped a lot. But let me remind you, this is Hong Kong, not Russia. Don't forget that." He gave her a casual goodbye. "See you around." Back in the car, she let out a sigh. "He doesn't seem reliable at all," she thought as the car drove off. He stood there, watching the vehicle disappear into the distance for a moment before turning and heading down a side alley. He entered a small room where loud arguing could be heard. "Who the hell are you?" one guy shouted. "Who sent you to follow us?" "I told you, I'm just the information guy," another voice replied nervously. Just then, Jin Tae stepped inside and called out, "You're Chu Jing, right?" The man in the corner flinched in fear. "Who are you?" "Marina said you could help me find someone," Jin Tae said, pointing at the chaotic scene around them. Yeah, that's right," Chu Jing stammered. "But as you can see, I'm a little tied up right now." Before he could finish, one of the thugs slammed him hard to the ground. The attacker turned to Jin Tae and growled, "Hey, you know this rat?" "No, I've never met him," Jin Tae replied. "Then stay out of this, punk. Get lost." Jin Tae stayed calm. "Can't do that. I need something from him." "Need my ass, dumbass!" the thug shouted and threw a punch. But Jin Tae dodged it effortlessly, pulling a knife from his coat. In a flash, his movement blurred, like a ghost slicing through the air, and the guy had no chance to react. Everyone in the room froze in shock. One of the gang members looked around and realized one of their own was already on the floor. Jin Tae stepped forward like a grim reaper, closing in. "Sorry, but I'm in a hurry," he said coldly. "Did he just kill that guy?" someone gasped. "This guy's no amateur," another whispered. "He handles a blade like he's done this 100 times. One of them lunged at Jin Tae, grabbing his collar and pressing a knife against his neck. "Who the hell are you? I told you. I've got business to handle." But fear crept into his eyes. This guy wasn't some random thug. He was the real deal. "Are you working with that intel rat?" the attacker asked. Jin Tae looked him dead in the eye and said calmly, "You're about to die. Why waste your breath?" The thug started to panic. "He's not from around here, but whoever he is, I need to get out of this alive." The situation was tense. "I don't know what's going on here," one guy said nervously, "but you better be careful. If you don't want him dead, don't do anything stupid." "Yeah, man. I don't even know what's happening anymore," another chimed in. Jin Tae stood still, deep in thought. Then, slowly, he stepped forward and said, "Yeah, it's not like today's the only chance." The thug thought Jin Tae had backed off and grinned. Good. But then, wham! Something flew through the air, and the next thing he knew, he was flat on his back. A knife was sticking straight out of his forehead. Jin-tae's voice was cold. "Told you. I'm in a hurry." Everyone stood frozen, shocked by what just happened. A moment later, someone finally spoke up. "I get it now. You're that Russian assassin, aren't you?" Jin-tae stayed silent. "You're an assassin, but you act way too reckless," the guy continued. Jin-tae turned to him, confused. "What do you mean?" "Those two guys you just killed. They might have been with the triads." That caught Jin-tae off guard. No one in Hong Kong would dare mess with the triads. "Maybe you can get away with stuff like that in Russia," the man said. "But here? You better be more careful." Jin-tae sighed and rubbed his face. "Marina told me to avoid the triads, and I've already gotten myself involved. Don't worry. Since I gained something from this too, I'll clean up the mess for free this time," the man said as he turned to leave. "So, the person you're looking for, they were trafficked to Hong Kong, right?" "Yeah," Jin-tae replied. "She's probably around 20 now." "What's your relationship with her? Girlfriend? You think you'll really find her?" "It's not easy," the man said. "But you've got her age and some details. It's not impossible. Let's go find her." Jin-tae was surprised. Could this guy really help find his sister? "What about payment?" he asked. Just then, a taxi pulled up. The man glanced at Jin-tae, thinking to himself, "I need to watch him a bit longer. See what kind of person he really is." "How about this?" he said, turning to Jin-tae. "Take a job from me." "A job?" Jin-tae asked, surprised. "If there's someone I want dead, I'll let you know. You handle it. In return, I'll help you find the person you're looking for. You kill who I want, and I'll find who you want. Deal?" "Fine," Jin-tae said. "Let's start in Lan Kwai Fong." "Lan Kwai Fong?" Jin-tae asked as he got in the car. "Yeah, it's the biggest nightclub district in Hong Kong. If you're looking for a woman who was trafficked here, that's where we should start." The scene shifts to a bustling street packed with people. Lan Kwai Fong, the two of them, have arrived. Not long after, our guy Jin-tae steps out, now dressed in a brand new outfit. "Looking sharp," his companion said. "Wait, why are we even here if we're looking for someone?" "Ha, trust me, it's all part of the plan. Walking around with you like this, people might think I'm a trafficker." They stop by a small sunglasses stall. Jin-tae's companion grabs a pair and holds them out. "Cover up those killer eyes of yours." Jin-tae takes the glasses, puts them on, and checks himself in the mirror. Not bad. Moments later, they're standing in front of a nightclub called Dawa. On the outside, it looks like just another bar, but inside, it's one of the main spots where trafficked women end up in Hong Kong. Jin-tae's expression darkens. "Hey, chill out. We're just here to gather intel. Act like we're just out for a good time. Play it cool. I'll handle the madam. You talk to the girls. They might know something since most of them were trafficked here." They head inside. The companion raises his hand cheerfully. "Hey, long time no see." The woman at the table turns and replies, "You're not dead yet?" He walks over to her with a smirk. "Ouch, that hurt. You really know how to make a guy feel welcome." She scoffs, stands up and walks away. "Can you go somewhere else? I've got enough headaches already." "Wow, cold as ever," he mutters. Then he points toward Jin-tae, still standing nearby. "Tonight I'm not leaving till I'm totally wasted." The madam glances over. "For real?" He throws his arm around her shoulder. "Of course. Get me the most expensive bottle you've got, and set me up with the hottest girl here while you're at it." "Keep your hands to yourself when you talk." "Why so cold, huh?" Jin-tae quietly observes the people around him, then lets out a sigh. "So this is where they get sold." He sits there for a bit until a woman walks over, holding a bottle of liquor. Her name is Scarlett, and she moves with a seductive grace. She sits close beside him and whispers, "Wow, we've got a cute one in here tonight." Jin-tae is clearly flustered. He remembers what the other guy told him. "Just act like you're here to have fun. Blend in. Got it?" He takes a deep breath and tries to steady himself. "Okay, just act natural." Jin-tae looked nervous. The girl sitting next to him noticed and asked, "Hey, you okay? You don't look so good." He quickly replied, Oh, it's nothing. Just feeling a little uncomfortable. His face turned red as she leaned in closer. Too close for comfort, huh? Well, let me help you relax a bit. His eyes couldn't help but drift toward her, assets. Meanwhile, outside the club, a convoy of black cars pulled up. Men in suits quickly got out and lined up respectfully, bowing their heads as someone important stepped out. The door opened, and out came a man. This was Long Chao, the Guangzhou branch officer of the Triad. Back inside the club, two figures sat quietly in a private corner. The man poured himself a drink. The woman sitting beside him spoke up. You didn't come here just to drink, did you? What do you want? Still bringing in new girls lately? She looked shocked when he asked that. What? She snapped, slamming her glass on the table. I've told you 100 times, I quit that stuff a long time ago. He looked her in the eye and said, It seems like that business has started up again. I don't know anything about it. I'm not the boss anymore, so don't ask me. That surprised him. Wait, what? Since when? She let out a deep sigh. It's been a while. Then who's in charge now? Even if I told you, you wouldn't know them. Anyway, if you're done, I've got things to do. He stopped her. I'm looking for a girl. He pulled out a wad of cash and placed it on the table. She was sold to Hong Kong about 5 years ago. She would have been around 15 back then, and she's albino. Do you remember anyone like that? The woman paused, then sat back down with a heavy sigh. Too late. The new owner already wiped all the records. He gently pushed the money closer. I know you're not involved anymore, but just this once. Please help me. You're such a pain, she said. Back when I was managing this place, I did see one albino girl, but she was a handful, way too difficult to handle. I sent her back. Too bad. Yeah. If she had just cooperated, someone would have found her by now. That guy outside, is he the one looking for her? Yeah. What's their relationship? No idea. Outside, the scene shifts back to Jin Tae. The girl next to him speaks again. So that's how I ended up here. He nodded slowly, trying to understand. She added, Don't look at me like that. This place isn't as bad as it seems. Jin Tae sat quietly, deep in thought. Not bad, he mused. If Gina were still around, she'd probably be around this girl's age now. While he and the girl were still sitting there, someone from across the room called out. Looks like someone's really enjoying himself, huh? The man looked over at Jin Tae and immediately judged him. Yup, definitely the type who turns into mush around women, he thought to himself. He approached Jin Tae and asked, Is this the one? Then, he handed him a photo. The moment Jin Tae saw it, his face turned red with anger. It was a picture of Gina. The man sat down across from him. So, you back to your senses yet? Jin Tae slammed the table. Where is she? Where's Gina? Before the man could respond, the girl sitting next to Jin Tae glanced at the photo and said, Wait, that's Gino. That's what we called her. Sell Gino. Jin Tae turned to her in shock. You know her? Yeah, we came here together. Just as the realization hit him, the sound of approaching footsteps echoed in the room. Jin Tae turned to see who was coming. It was Long Chao and his crew walking in. One of his men announced, Word is, the 9 dragons are about to make their move in Hong Kong. Let's get started, Long Chao replied with a smirk. His group moved further inside. Sorry, we're closed for the night. Come back some other time, someone said to them. Jin Tae stood and thought to himself, Getting involved won't do us any good. We should go. But he clenched his fists. Not yet. Dude, how drunk are you? Save it for next time. Come on, let's go. Let me go! I told you I'm still sober. Just then, a woman rushed up to Long Chao. Master Chao, why didn't you let me know you were coming? Jin Tae froze when he heard the name Long Chao. It was the same name he'd heard in connection to powerful underground dealings. What's a party without booze and women? Long Chao said with a grin. The girl beside him looked terrified as he stared her down. He pointed at her. I'll take this one. Bring out your finest liquor. Isn't this a bit sudden, sir? She asked nervously. But Long Chao wasn't listening. His eyes had drifted to a photo under the table. He shoved the girl aside and leaned in to get a better look. He examined the photo. She's young, but no doubt this girl is a white dragon. All the records about them were supposed to be destroyed. Outside, the two men were still observing the situation through the window. That must be the new boss the lady was talking about. Who the hell are those guys? I don't know, but let's keep watching and find out. Back inside, Long Chao turned to the trembling girl and asked, "Where did this photo come from?" She answered nervously, shaking all over. "It was from the guest who just left. They came here looking for someone." Long Chao's eyes narrowed as the pieces of the puzzle started to come together. Furious, the boss slammed his hand down on the table. "I told you to destroy all the trafficking records." "They were all destroyed. That photo must have been left behind by a guest," the woman replied nervously. Without warning, he struck her hard. "I was sure I told you everything." He then turned to the terrified girl, standing nearby. "Where is he? That guy, where'd he go?" I don't know. He was just here, I swear." "You don't know?" he snarled, grabbing her by the throat. "Don't play games with me." The girl panicked, gasping for air. "I'm telling the truth. I really don't know. Cough, cough." He tightened his grip even more. "Talk." Today was my first day, please." Suddenly the back door burst open. A voice called out, "Hey, bald head!" The boss turned to see who had dared insult him. It was Jin Tae, standing alone in front of all the thugs. "Is this guy nuts? Who even is he?" one of them muttered. Jin Tae walked forward calmly. "That photo, it's mine." "Give it here," he demanded. "What?" "The photo. Hand it over. Chrome Dome." The boss still had the girl by the throat. Well, so it's you, huh?" He finally let the girl go, and she collapsed to the ground in pain. "Why are you looking for her?" he asked. Jin Tae's voice grew cold. "Shut up and give me the photo. I'll ask you one last time. Why are you looking for her?" "Why? She's my sister, you bastard!" The boss flinched in surprise. "Your sister?" He stared at Jin Tae suspiciously. "Family? No way. This punk's full of crap." "You're just talking nonsense now, aren't you, Chrome Dome?" he said while slipping the photo into his jacket. "I'm asking you one more time. Why are you really after her?" Jin Tae snapped. "Idiot. You think I need a reason to find my own sister?" One of the underlings couldn't take it anymore and charged. "You cocky little—" But the boss raised his hand to stop him. "No. I need to ask this guy something." Jin Tae took a step forward. "What's your relationship with my sister?" The boss stood silent, thinking. This guy's searching for White Dragon and doesn't even know who we are? This chubby brat doesn't get how dangerous this is. Outside, Jin Tae's friend watched in panic. Has this guy lost it? Is he crushing on my sister or what? Say something already. "Hey, bald head!" Jin Tae shouted. That was the last straw. The boss threw a punch. "You little punk!" But Jin Tae dodged it easily. "What? He dodged that? This guy's no pushover." Without hesitation, Jin Tae pulled out his knife and pointed it at him. "If you're gonna charge at me, at least give me a warning first." "Looks like I'll have to tear you to pieces," the bald thug barked. "You loudmouth punk, I ought to rip that mouth off your face first. What's with all the whining, fat boy?" Just then, Jin Tae locked eyes with him, and before anything else could happen, a sudden tremor shook the entire building. The whole place rumbled violently. His goons froze, confused and unsure what was going on. One of them turned to the bald boss, holding up a phone. "It's Mr. Marion." The boss snatched the phone. "Damn it, why's he calling now?" Jin Tae silently gestured for him to answer. The boss listened carefully, then slowly turned his gaze back toward Jin Tae. "So that's how it is." He spoke to his underlings. "Let him live." Jin Tae didn't move. He just stared coldly at the boss as he walked past him. The man stayed on the call as he looked back at his men and warned, "This guy's not easy to handle. Stay sharp." The thugs instantly drew their weapons, surrounding Jin-tae like a pack of street punks ready for a fight. The boss made his way to the exit, and the man waiting outside quickly stepped aside. Still on the phone, the boss muttered, "Looks like we've hit a snag." A snag? Someone's looking for White Dragon. Not sure if it's one guy or a group, but he's got a photo of her. The man standing nearby overheard and began to wonder. White Dragon? Wait, is he talking about Jin-tae's sister? Seems like a lot of drama just to find his sister. Back inside, Jin-tae stood tall, unfazed, staring down the crowd. "Come on then, bring it on, you idiots." The guy outside thought, "Man, he's a little drunk for sure, but he's no joke." The goons charged. Jin-tae instantly parried a slash, swept the thug's legs, and sent him flying backward. Another tried to sneak up behind him, but Jin-tae spotted him and twisted to block the strike. Blood spurted from Jin-tae's side. Taking the hit in stride, Jin-tae countered by sweeping the attacker off his feet, pulling him close, and plunging his blade straight into the guy's throat. The thug dropped dead on the spot. The others stood frozen in shock. One of their own had just been taken out in seconds. "What the hell is this guy? A monster?" Jin-tae locked eyes on his next target. He picked his mark and launched himself forward, drop-kicking the guy in the chest. He moved like a beast in a chicken coop, grabbing one thug by the collar and yanking him forward just as another enemy rushed in, unaware he was about to run straight into his own ally. Jin didn't waste a second. While one of the thugs was distracted, he slashed straight through two of them, dropping them to the ground in an instant. Watching from the outside, the other man thought to himself, "Sure, their skills are on different levels, but this psycho has no hesitation when it comes to killing. That's what makes the gap between them so terrifying." Every thug who dared to rush Jin got sent straight to hell with a single slash. Now, that's what a real killer looks like. One of the thugs tried to fight back, but Jin sliced across his wrist, sending the guy's knife flying. He slammed the guy against the wall and demanded, "Who the hell are you people?" The thug, not scared of death, spat back, "Screw you, bastard." That earned him a swift trip to the afterlife. "That's not the answer I was looking for," Jin muttered coldly. The room started to settle into an eerie silence. But then, Jin picked up on a noise behind him. He turned. "Where do you think you're crawling off to?" Without mercy, he stomped on the guy's back and pinned him down underfoot. "Looks like it's just you left now, huh?" The thug begged. "Please, man, spare me." Jin snapped. "So you were just gonna leave your buddies and run for it?" Dragging him by the collar, Jin hauled him toward the pile of his defeated crew. He glanced over. "Guess I should have asked that fat bald guy first." Just then, the man outside spoke up. "Hey, Jin." But Jin ignored him and stormed toward the bald thug still chatting on the phone. "Yo, Baldy!" Jin shouted. The guy turned around, completely stunned to see Jin standing there. "You again? Mid-call and you're trying to walk off? Where the hell you going, Baldy?" Clearly confused, the thug stammered. What happened? My guys, they're all down?" He looked around, realizing the massacre Jin had caused. Then he glanced at the last guy and asked, "And who's that?" Jin mocked him. "Still not done with your call? What's the matter? Your boyfriend on the line? Want me to give you some privacy?" The thug sighed. "I think I've got a real pain in the ass on my hands." Jin kept needling him. "Seriously, your boyfriend? Should I wait while you finish up?" The thug hung up, annoyed. "A pain in the ass, huh? Could be someone from internal affairs for all I know." "So you're finally done talking, Baldy?" Jin asked, raising his blade. "I've got a lot of questions for you." The thug eyed him carefully, taking in the damage Jin had caused in such a short time. "This guy, he wiped out all my men like it was nothing. He's no ordinary punk." With that, the thug took off his coat. "Too bad I'm not giving you the chance to ask anything." Jin grinned, ready for what came next. He got into his stance, ready to fight. "Oh yeah? Then let's hear what a pig sounds like when it's getting slaughtered," Jin said as he lunged forward. The guy dodged Jin's first slash with surprising ease. "Damn, this pig's pretty nimble," Jin muttered. Not wasting a second, Jin spun and swung horizontally. This time the blade connected. He sliced the man's right arm, landing a clean hit. The guy glanced at his bleeding arm, realizing how fast and unpredictable Jin's attack had been. The cut was so quick he didn't even feel it until he saw the blood. Furious, he threw a punch at Jin. Jin ducked under it and countered with another slash across the arm. But the man used his raw strength to push Jin back. It was a brawl now, punches and blades clashing back and forth. Eventually, Jin got backed up against the wall. He quickly slapped the man's punch aside and ducked low, rolling away to create distance. The guy sneered. "Right now, you don't look any tougher than a scared little rat." Jin stood there, panting. So he can attack and defend at the same time? Damn, this guy's got stamina. Looks like it's gonna take me half a day just to wear him down. He gripped his knife tighter. Alright, I'll have to end this in one blow. Jin dashed forward, using his footwork to create after images and mess with the guy's aim. The moment was now. He drove his blade forward, and it landed. Blood sprayed from a deep cut. Got him, Jin thought. But before he could react, the man grabbed Jin by the collar, lifted him into the air, and slammed him into a nearby car with crushing force. Jin lay there in pain, trying to figure out what just happened. This guy, he's tough and smart. He's been using his endurance to trick me, letting himself get hit, just enough to avoid fatal blows while waiting for me to slip up. It was a match of brute durability versus lethal precision. The man ripped off his jacket, annoyed it was in the way. That's when Jin noticed something. A tattoo. That ink. Triad? Those other guys had the same marking. Something didn't add up. If this guy isn't Triad from Hong Kong, then who the hell is he? The man started walking toward Jin, and Jin slowly pushed himself back up, staring him down. It wasn't over yet. He knew it was a trap, but still charged in head first? Jin just smirked and replied, "Because the bait was just too damn tempting." With that, he tossed away his glasses and rushed at the guy. Jin ducked under a punch and slashed across his opponent's body. "What, trying to pull that hit-and-run stuff again? We're almost at the end here," the man growled. "2 cuts, huh?" He looked down at the fresh wounds. They were deep, but Jin just stood there and said calmly, "The end? This is just the beginning, you idiot." Cut to Guangzhou, China. A convoy of cars rolls through the streets. Inside one of them sit 2 people with silver hair. One of them turns and says, "How long has it been since the Dragon Head summoned us personally to Hong Kong? Thanks to that, I guess we're going in as guests this time." "Isn't that great?" he added, glancing at the woman beside him. That look in her eyes, and that voice. You feel it too, don't you, sister? Back to Jin. "I'm just getting started, you bastard," Jin said coldly. His opponent glanced at Jin's twin blades, the blood still dripping from them, and realized this was serious. Jin dashed forward again. The man stood his ground, thinking, "Are you trying to corner me?" The two clashed again, strikes flying back and forth in a blur. Jin landed a couple of clean hits on the man's arm, but took a hard punch in return that sent him flying into a car. Now the guy's body was covered in slash marks from Jin's dual blades. But Jin wasn't done. He launched off the car with a powerful kick and dove straight at him again. A bystander watching the fight thought, "He's using 2 blades against someone who fights with brute strength alone. Dual blades are known for unorthodox attacks, and it's working." But more than that, the real danger with dual blades is that with just one move, he can hit twice, giving him a serious physical advantage. And the longer the fight drags on, the bigger that gap becomes. The man gritted his teeth, wincing from each strike. Jin noticed and thought smugly, "So you've got some pride after all, huh?" But mastering this dual blade style isn't easy. Jin fought like the weapons were a natural extension of his body. In other words, his ability to read and react in combat was on another level. Then, with a brutal swing, Jin landed another blow straight to his opponent's side, and he wasn't letting up anytime soon. Jin rushed in low, aiming straight at him, but the guy managed to grab the blade in Jin's hand. Furious, he threw a punch at Jin. This guy wasn't some pushover, but Jin quickly let go of the blade and, without missing a beat, grabbed the dog chain wrapped around the man's neck. Using his knee, Jin slammed him right in the face, sending him crashing to the ground in a daze. Jin calmly stepped over his body. The way he combined dual blades with hand-to-hand combat, it was terrifying. His red eyes glowed with a killer's intent as he stared down at his prey. "Got you now, pig," he muttered. The man could barely see, his vision fading, but he spotted Jin's silhouette as the blade touched his neck. "All right, let's talk," Jin said coldly. "What's your relationship with my sister?" "Ridiculous," the guy muttered with his last bit of strength. Just then, someone stepped forward from behind. "Looks like these guys are from the Triad," he said. Jin turned and asked, "What did you say?" Confused, he looked back. Isn't he just a random thug? But as he approached the man's body, he asked again, "Is that true?" Suddenly the man realized who Jin was. With a weak smile, he thought, "I thought I'd die for nothing, but you actually completed the job." Jin didn't understand why he was smiling. "It's funny, right?" The man chuckled. "What a shame. Looks like my mission ends here." Then, without warning, he grabbed Jin's arm, the one holding the knife, and drove it into his own throat. Jin fell forward in shock, not understanding what just happened. Furious, he thought, "That bastard did it on purpose." Now the man lay dead, Jin's blade stuck in his throat. It was a painful, brutal end. Jin sat there, overwhelmed by sadness. He still didn't have any real lead on his sister. The man beside him stood silently for a moment, watching Jin break down in tears like a child. Seeing how far Jin had come, it was clear. His sister was deeply entangled with some dangerous people. "I've found more info than I ever expected. There's a good chance she's still alive. I'll keep digging," he said. "For now, maybe go get some rest. Hit the sauna or something. If I don't clean this place up quick, we'll have even bigger problems." Just then, a sound came from inside the shop. Jin turned and saw a woman trembling in fear. He stood there frozen, not knowing how to explain any of this. The man placed a hand on Jin's shoulder and said, "I'll be in touch soon." They parted ways, each heading in opposite directions. The man took out a photo of Jin T's sister and pondered. The scene shifted to the Triad headquarters in Hong Kong, where a man seated in a chair spoke up. "Summoning me to Hong Kong? What's father thinking? I told him I'd handle this. How? By killing them or something? There's nothing I wouldn't say. Father, that's enough. It's been a while since you showed up like this. Is someone okay?" "It's Birim. If it's him, is he affiliated with Yongdu?" Someone else interjected. "I'll return when you're alone," the outsider said. "It's all right. That young man is set to inherit Yongdu's position soon. Come in." "Understood." The young man entered, bowing respectfully. "Birim Du Sheng. Greetings, Lord Yongdu." Yongdu gestured for him to come closer. He stepped forward and knelt before the dragon head. Witnessing this, Yongdu's son was puzzled. He spoke up. "This is what you asked me to investigate earlier. Not good news, right? It's related to the Rukai branch." Upon hearing this, the son was startled. "Rukai?" he exclaimed, raising his voice at his father. "What are you saying?" he demanded. The investigator remained silent, allowing the father and son to argue. Yongdu signaled him to continue. "It's all right. Go on." He resumed his report. "In recent months, several individuals in Hong Kong have engaged in illegal business activities." "Illegal business?" "Yes. Considering our connections with law enforcement, activities like human trafficking and drug distribution have been banned by our organization. Under the Dragon Head's orders, we traced their operations and discovered that it's not an external force, but a branch of our own organization outside Hong Kong." "What? You mean it's based in Guangzhou, the Rukai branch?" "Sir, the exact location hasn't been confirmed, but currently the Dragon Head suspects so." He turned to his father, raising his voice again. "Father." Yongdu calmly addressed his son. "It's just a suspicion. The Rukai branch has long desired to engage in such business." The investigator remained kneeling, awaiting further instructions. "What's the latest update?" He continued. "Regarding the surveillance of the Rukai branch, our personnel embedded in the Guangzhou branch have been unaccounted for in the past month or two. Recently, we've even lost contact. As the last remaining contact from the Rukai branch reported, they've been secretly training assassins and dispatched them to Hong Kong months ago." "Assassins?" "Yes, 9 in total, operating under the codename 9 Dragons. When asked about the reliability of this intel, the informant confirmed, "Yes, Today we verified their existence. 9 dragons in Hong Kong? That's intriguing, the leader mused. Father, this is an act of rebellion, the son interjected. The father calmly replied, Not yet. What do you mean? We need to summon him for immediate questioning, the son insisted. Yongdu, always focused on short-term gains, was a fool who believed that just because a snake resembled a dragon, it could become one. If internal conflict arises the moment he becomes Yongdu, other snakes will gradually reveal their fangs. But as long as I'm here, that won't happen. Do you know why? The father said, placing a hand on his son's shoulder. Because before those snakes can show their fangs, I've already pulled them out. A snake without fangs is no longer a snake. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, Dragonhead, the son responded, visibly shaken. If there's external conflict with Guangzhou, other branches will start questioning Hong Kong's authority. So before passing on the leadership, find the snake's lair, the place where it's coiled up. Understood, Dragonhead. Grinding his teeth in frustration, the son thought, Rukai, that bastard. The door closed behind him as he stepped outside, pulling out a photo of Jin Ti's sister to examine. This girl. She mentioned Bai Long, his brother, as one of the 9 dragons. Still uncertain. Best to stay silent for now, regardless of which side he's on. The next day, he waited against a wall for someone to arrive. Eventually, a figure approached. It was our Jin Ti. He waved, and they moved to a different location. Later, at Victoria Peak in Hong Kong, the area was bustling with couples strolling hand in hand. Jin Ti sat down and asked, 9 dragons? Yeah, that's what they're called. Seems like a mainland gang is behind these assassins. A mainland gang? Well, if the main gang is in Hong Kong, the branches extend to other regions. I suppose so. But even though the mainland branches are just subsidiaries, their influence is... The leadership of the mainland branches nearly matched the main branch, leading to power struggles. Yeah, something like that, he replied. Anyway, the important thing is that it's the mainland, not Hong Kong, behind all this. So, does that mean the 9 dragons kidnapped my sister? Not certain yet, but there's definitely a lead pointing to them. So, we have no choice but to track down the 9 dragons. Right, he agreed. After a moment, he pulled out a phone and said, This phone only has one number saved. A phone number? Registered under the name Malian. Seems like they use this guy to contact others, so we need to meet Malian. I've already set up a meeting. Should be happening soon. But not from this direction. Are they coming from that way? A figure with hands in pockets slowly approached. Who meets someone all the way up here on Victoria Peak? He muttered. Looks like he's here. The man appeared and spoke, seemingly unfazed. No need to warm up. That's Qinglong Zhaohan. He's one of the 9 dragons. He walked while yawning, under the watchful eyes of the 2 Jin Ti. Jin Ti, sitting there, asked, Is he the demon dragon? The other replied, I don't think so. He probably wouldn't show up himself. Even if he did, how could we confirm it's really him? What matters now isn't whether he's the demon dragon or someone else, but which side they're on. He handed a pair of glasses to Jin Yi. Jin Ti looked down at the glasses, pondering. So, what do we do now? He took the glasses and put them on to shield himself from that intense gaze. The other turned in a direction and spoke. Over there is Victoria Peak, one of the highest observation points in Hong Kong. Every year, thousands of tourists come here. They either take the peak tram or hike up, and the way down is the same, only 2 paths. Jin Yi turned and asked, So, everyone has to move along these fixed routes among the crowd? Perfect for tailing, right? But hey, we've already set up a meeting with them. He looked off into the distance and said, He's still waiting. Ahead, a short distance away, the man stood leaning against a pillar, waiting for something. The other leaned back and replied. As the 2 of them waited, Jinny couldn't quite grasp the plan. The other man, calm and collected, remarked, What if the snake misses its prey? Jinty was baffled by his cryptic words. The man elaborated, explaining that if the operation failed, the enemy would retreat to their lair. Their strategy was to quietly follow them back to their hideout. The scene shifted to the previous day, in a dimly lit room where 4 individuals had gathered. Leaning against the wall was Red Dragon, a young man with a scarred face, one of the 9 dragons. He questioned the sudden assembly, to which another replied that it was due to Liu Kai's impending arrival in Hong Kong. A woman, known as Dark Dragon, also part of the 9 dragons, noted the absence of Green Dragon and Breaker Dragon. Sitting with a sword by his side was Black Dragon, another member of the 9 dragons. He informed them that Breaker Dragon was dead. The scar-faced man, Ghost Dragon, the leader of the 9 dragons, revealed that the perpetrators were searching for White Dragon's past. They pondered why someone would be interested in White Dragon's history, considering she was sold into slavery as a child. Ghost Dragon suggested that the search indicated their plan was still in motion. Red Dragon raised a concern about whether the culprits were from the main headquarters, as they had initiated contact. Suddenly, someone entered the room, volunteering to investigate. When asked if he was up for it, he responded that he wanted to see the face behind the scheme. Ghost Dragon handed him an item, instructing him to give it to them if they were from the headquarters. Otherwise, eliminate them. Returning to the present, the man stood waiting for Ginny and Jinty. He glanced at his watch, noting the time that had passed. He mused that only after meeting them would they decide whether to kill or not. Rubbing his neck in frustration, he questioned the arrangement of the meeting. He then began to walk away, passing by the 2 observers. As soon as Jinty noticed the man moving, he sprang into action. "Here, take this walkie-talkie," he said, handing it over. "We'll need to split up to keep tabs on him." Jinty clipped the device onto his wrist, ready to go. Before they parted ways, his partner reminded him, "Remember, we're tailing him, not taking him out." Yeah, got it," Jintai replied, a bit annoyed, as they both began their pursuit. Over the walkie-talkie, a voice reported, "He's heading up via the Peak tram." "Then let's follow," Jintai responded, joining the queue behind their target. Keeping a safe distance, he blended into the crowd, moving like water through the stream of people. As the man boarded the tram, he glanced back, scanning the line. Satisfied, he stepped inside. Jinty followed, noting the man had taken a seat at the front. A voice crackled through the walkie-talkie, advising, "Don't stare too hard. Just enjoy the ride and keep it casual." Suddenly, Jinty noticed something off. 2 individuals wearing hats sat nearby, their demeanor suspicious. As the tram reached its destination, passengers began to disembark. Jinty kept his eyes on the man, following him closely. The 2 mysterious figures also exited, trailing behind. Jinty continued to monitor them, but one of the hat-wearing individuals suddenly turned around. Jinty's heart skipped a beat as he recognized them. "Great, more flies buzzing around," he muttered, quickly alerting his partner. "Hey, don't look now, but we've got 2 tails behind us." "Should we keep following him or deal with them?" his partner asked. "Not sure. You stick with our guy. I'll handle these 2, Jinty replied. "Understood." Just then, Jinty bumped into a passerby. When he looked up, their target had vanished. Panicked, he rushed forward, scanning the area. "Damn it, he's gone!" he exclaimed. Suddenly, a voice called out from behind. As the man turned around, Jinty realized he had been caught off guard. The stranger stood behind him and asked, "So, you're the one who killed Break Dragon, huh?" Jinty was stunned, realizing his cover had been blown. The man continued, "You're not from Hong Kong, are you? Maybe you're from North Korea or South Korea?" Jinty clenched his teeth, annoyed that he'd been discovered. He began to step back, preparing himself for a potential fight. "Why does it matter where I'm from?" Jinty asked. The man smirked. "Real estate here is expensive. It's not easy to settle down. So, I offer a delivery service for people like you. But first, I need to know who you are and where you're from." Jinty remembered his teammate's advice. Remember, the goal is to tail him, not to kill. Frustrated, Jinty thought, "Tail him? Seriously?" He reached for the knife at his side, ready to take action. Suddenly, a loud noise behind them caught their attention. Both turned to see more trouble approaching. The man sighed. "You're not alone, huh? That's a bit disappointing." Without warning, he dashed past Jinty. Surprised, Jinty watched him flee instead of engaging in a fight. Jinty glanced at his teammate, who was also watching the scene unfold. The 2 mysterious figures in hats were now running toward them, Unsure of what to do, Jin Tae decided to chase after the fleeing man. Behind him, 3 others also gave chase, determined not to lose sight of their target. The 2 mysterious figures exchanged glances and split up to follow. Meanwhile, Jin Tae's teammate, previously uninvolved, found himself caught up in the chase. As he ran, he accidentally bumped into a woman walking in the opposite direction. He glanced back to see who it was, but quickly refocused on the task at hand. "Damn it," he muttered. "How did things get so complicated?" Just when Jin thought things couldn't get more chaotic, he bumped into a woman who flashed him a mysterious smile. It was clear now, another faction had entered the fray. 5 individuals were now sprinting down the street, each chasing the next. The target glanced back, baffled by the sudden increase in pursuers. He grabbed his radio and barked, "Hey Jin, what the hell are you doing?" "What do you think? I'm chasing that bastard," Jin shot back. "He asked if I was the one who killed Break Dragon." Realization hit. The man Jin had taken out earlier was Break Dragon. The target, trying to shake them off, knocked over a trash can to block Jin's path. "Damn it," Jin muttered, recalling his orders. "Follow. Don't engage." But with the situation escalating, he had no choice. If tailing him isn't working, we'll have to corner him and force some answers. The target spotted an escalator leading underground and made a swift descent. Jin wasn't far behind, using his own skills to close the gap. "You're pretty good," the target acknowledged. "Shut up," Jin growled, drawing his knife. "Let's end this cat-and-mouse game." Suddenly, both sensed movement behind them. The 2 masked figures were closing in fast. Weapons clashed, and the masked duo split, each targeting one of them. Jin and the target were pushed back, momentarily stunned. "Wait, aren't they on your side?" the target asked. "That's what I was about to ask you," Jin replied. The 4 stood in tense silence, weapons ready, eyes locked, each waiting for the other's move. Suddenly, Jin's teammate came running up, clearly exhausted. "Hey!" he called out. The mysterious man sighed in frustration, thinking, "Just great, another one? This is turning into a real mess." Realizing he couldn't handle this situation, he quickly turned and bolted. Jin didn't hesitate and took off after him. The group continued their chase, one after another, down the street. They reached another descending escalator, and the man once again used his agile footwork to glide down effortlessly, like a gust of wind. Not wanting to be outdone, Jin showcased his own skills, gracefully following suit and closing the gap between them. The 2 masked pursuers behind them, seeing the impressive displays, decided to forego any flashy moves. Instead, they charged down the stairs, determined to keep up. As the man glanced back and saw Jin catching up, he noticed a train about to depart ahead. Without hesitation, he leaped down to the platform. Jin, understanding his intent, immediately followed, landing on his back but quickly rolling to his feet to continue the pursuit before the man could board the train. Meanwhile, the 2 masked individuals above found themselves in a predicament. Dressed in cumbersome outfits, they realized that acrobatic maneuvers weren't an option. "Damn it!" one of them exclaimed. Spotting a staircase, they turned to use it, only to be met by a crowd ascending from below. It seemed they were effectively cut off. Back on the platform, the man, now aboard the train, stood catching his breath and gazing outside. Seeing that the 2 masked figures were stuck, he sighed in relief, thinking he'd finally escape the chaos. But his relief was short-lived. Turning around, he was startled to find Jin standing right behind him. "Aren't you heading home?" the man asked. Jin, clearly annoyed, replied, "Cut the crap, we need to talk." "Oh, really? I have some things to clarify too," the man said, drawing his sword. "But I'm not interested in boring conversations. I prefer action." Jin, not wanting to be outdone by the man's theatrics, whipped out both of his blades with a flourish. "You idiot," he growled. "I spelled it out for you, but you still don't get it?" The man, grinning ear to ear, was clearly thrilled to meet a fellow warrior who used dual swords like himself. "Well then," he smirked, "it's an honor to cross blades with you."